Welcome to the second chapter in this module where we discuss indoor air quality and its impact on well being. Here is the list of topics that we will be covering in this chapter. Here's an activity for you. Let's do a perception test, shall we? Which of these homes would you prefer to inhabit? The image on the left has a direct relationship with the vegetation outdoors through the large openings. The image on the right is more introverted with no openings. Which of these workspaces would you prefer to inhabit? The image on the left portrays a more open workspace that directly connects with the greenery outside. The image on the right appears to be more restricted and has little or no access to the outdoors. Most likely, ventilation is artificially done. Most people tend to prefer a connection with the outdoors and natural airflow in spaces. Which of these learning spaces would you prefer to inhabit? While the image on the right is of a learning space bringing in plenty of light and fresh air, the classroom on the left seems rather dull with little scope for cross ventilation. Which of these hotels would you prefer to visit and stay in? The lodging space on the left is set in the outdoors, allowing the space to be naturally ventilated, providing fresh oxygen supply for the inhabitants and a direct relationship with nature. Which of these hospitals would you prefer to be treated in? The medical ward on the left is flooded with plenty of natural light. The image on the right has no openings, limiting the light source to artificial lights, with no entry of fresh air for ventilation. Research shows that daylight and fresh air plays a significant role in the physical and mental health of people. Let us now look at understanding indoor air quality a little more in detail. Which of these situations do you find more alarming? If you feel it is the first one, it is not surprising. Most often, the outdoor air quality and pollution levels are more subject to global concern. While it is crucial to take care of outdoor pollution levels, we tend to overlook the indoor air quality and comfort of the spaces we design and inhabit. In fact, indoor environments are susceptible to 2 to 5 times more pollution levels than outdoor environments. So, what is indoor air quality and why is it so important in well being? Have you seen the movie Parasite? If not, watch it. The different typologies of architectural spaces indicate varying kinds of indoor air qualities and how that could drastically affect mental and physical health. The Kim family stayed in a semi-basement home. How did their behavior change with a change of the setting in a space that had a much better indoor air quality? The mental health and well-being of the man who lived in an underground bunker for 4 years due to the lack of exposure to sunlight and clean air is adversely affected by the same. With the COVID-19 pandemic outbreak, we are realizing the importance of healthy home environments. A good indoor air quality can play a huge role in living and working comfortably and productively in one space. Indoor air quality, or IAQ, comprises of a variety of factors including temperature, humidity, lighting, ventilation, and concentration of pollutants. A space can be designed in a variety of ways to achieve optimum indoor air quality, which results in the long-term well-being of occupants. So, what causes indoor air quality to deteriorate? Let us first look at the sources. Poor ventilation in spaces could be a root cause of unhealthy indoor air quality. If there aren't constant air changes in the internal air, and if outdoor air is not being pumped in adequately, it may even lead to sick building syndrome. Sick house or sick building syndrome occurs when a house can't breathe to rid itself of indoor pollutants, resulting in poor indoor air quality. Inadequate ventilation is the most common cause. The second major source is various modern day building materials like certain furniture finishes, flooring finishes, paints, carpeting, etc., which may cause damaging short term as well as long term effects on the health and well being of occupants. These materials may release certain chemicals and allergens and may attract pollen and mold, which may impact drastically the indoor air quality of the space. Indoor air quality and comfort levels are also subjective. While some people may enjoy or be used to certain smells, some may be simply averse to them. Similarly, allergies are also subjective. While some may be allergic to certain smells, pollen, etc., for some, this doesn't pose a problem. Or they may just be accustomed to them because of prolonged exposure. Why do you think this employee seems to be sleeping and not productive at work? Could it be that he is lazy, or could it be the office environment that is making him feel low and non energetic? Poorly ventilated office buildings may have drastic effects on productivity. Let us look at the case study of an office to understand well being in workspaces. The office designed by Edifice displays well being not just for the building occupants but also the well being of the ecosystem in the surroundings. The building was sensitively designed to respond to the external context and provide a good indoor air quality to the employees. The proposed office block was appropriately placed on site to ensure that maximum number of trees from the Red Sanders plantation on the site were safeguarded, and the height of the building block was restricted to 3 floors to ensure that the building did not overpower the trees around and camouflaged into the site. The main driver of this project is designing with nature and using glass as the connector between the outdoors and indoors. The building shape was derived so as to ensure maximum light penetration into the workspaces. The open offices were planned so as to derive uninterrupted views of the plantations around and also to wrap around open spaces that brought the greens in seamlessly. The building envelope on the east and west sides were protected by non-motorized fins, and the southern surface had clear overhangs that reduced heat gains on the glazing, ensuring thermal comfort to the occupants. The courtyard and the front court ensured cross ventilation among the multiple blocks by increasing the inside-outside interfaces. Teakwood screens ensured a good amount of airflow within the spaces whilst making sure that the birds did not fly in. The materials also ensured good indoor air quality. Stone flooring, as opposed to carpeting, ensured reduced pollutants and dust in the indoor air. Similarly, exposed concrete and glass, as opposed to paint, reduced the VOCs in the indoor air. The office saw a hybrid system of air exchange. While many spaces are non-air conditioned and naturally ventilated, the cabins were cooled by radiant cooling systems. The workspaces were inset slightly away from the glazing to reduce glare and contribute to thermal comfort. Let us look into the indoor air quality in homes and learning spaces specifically. Do you ever have trouble waking up in the morning? Do you feel drowsy all the time? Well, maybe it is time that you looked closely at the indoor air environment in your home. If air quality in a home is not healthy, it could affect sleep quality as well as cause respiratory symptoms and headaches. Let us look at the case study of a residence to understand well-being in homes. The site is in an urban fabric in Bangalore. The design driver to the house was the proximity to the tree on the plot and the view to an agricultural patch of land. The main elements of design were derived around the need to achieve maximum ventilation and capturing the greens. Staggering of internal spaces was a strategy to achieve this and also enhance visual connectivity between the levels. The house was designed around a central courtyard to ensure natural light came streaming in, thus increasing the dynamism and energy in the house. Greens were also introduced wherever possible. The home was designed to ensure maximum air changes by cross ventilation achieved through stack effect, which works on the concept of hot air rises and cool air flows in from below to fill in the spaces. The upper rooms had the use of wooden screened windows that allowed for privacy as well as constant air exchange from the courtyard. The floating cube extension connects the house to the tree outside and derives the benefits of healthy air emitted by the tree. The case study not only shows that indoor air quality can be made healthier even in dense urban fabrics, it also uses the potential of the site to the maximum and allows the design to evolve sensitively with the site and the surroundings. The deep set windows ensured thermal comfort and reduced heat gain on the glass. The windows on multiple surfaces ensured cross ventilation as well as seamless visual connections. Check out this house in Vietnam that makes use of glass blocks to bring in diffused natural light into the indoor environment. The kid here seems to be very unhappy. Is it because of the disinterest towards the written work? Or could it be a larger question about the environment that he is in? Let us examine indoor air qualities in school environments. Have a look at this case study project by Biome Solutions to understand how to achieve good indoor air qualities in school environments. Let us look at some strategies of improving indoor air quality with the use of glass. The first one that we will look at is double skin facades as a passive ventilation strategy. Double skin facades consist of two layers of glass wherein air flows through the intermediate cavity. This space, which can vary from 20 centimeters to a few meters, acts as an insulation against extreme temperatures, winds, and sound, improving the building's thermal efficiency for both high and low temperatures. Hot air from the double facade cavity rises up to the top of the solar chimney, creating free heating for the building in winter. In the summer, the chimney pulls hot air from the facade cavity via convection, where it is then released through the rooftop. In these diagrams, you can see how the behavior of the double skin facade can be altered to suit hot or cold climates. Motorized blinds can be installed in the cavity, which could be tied to a weather-integrated data automation system. Drawing ventilation through a double skin facade also offers the potential to counter toxins from the exterior, VOCs, microbial infections, etc. that are harbored in the air-conditioned buildings. Let us now look at a case study to understand double skin facades better. The Securities Commission building was judged the most energy efficient new building at the Asian Energy Awards for energy efficient buildings in 2001. Among the innovative and energy efficient features of the Commission building are the double glazed thermal flow facade, atrium glass roof, energy saving light fittings, and underfloor air conditioning system. The SCB is constructed with double skin facades that comprise of two layers of glass with a cavity of 1.2 meters. The external skin is 12 mm thick, low E tinted green glass, and the internal one is 8 mm thick green glass. Air gap serving as a maintenance walkway and a cool buffer zone. Shading devices, both horizontal louvers and vertical blinds, are installed within the DSF cavity. The vertical blinds protect the workspace from direct solar radiation, particularly on the east and west facades, and are controlled by solar cells. Cooled air from the office space is recycled and exhausted at ceiling levels into the DSF cavity. For buildings that fail to harness wind through simple fenestration layouts on the vertical facades, the double skin facade is an answer, since it uses the stack effect to harness winds, promoting air changes in the indoor environment in hot and cold climates, thus catalyzing indoor air quality and user well-being. To know more about how the use of glass in buildings could contribute to improved indoor air qualities, enroll into the course on design strategies and material optimization. Go back to your case study picked in the first part of this module. Try to observe and feel the indoor air quality within that space. Thermal comfort, light quality, ventilation, and freshness quotient of the air indoors. Write remarks about the overall IAQ experience. The next chapter talks about color for well-being.